got an interview for the dream job, and after working with him, I got it, and it was simple and it was easy.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed the journey.
Has it helped? Yes, it absolutely has. It's definitely helped in knowing the market a lot better and knowing how to put myself out there. Like, I would never ever have touched my LinkedIn ever. I didn't see LinkedIn as a valuable resource at all. So in saying that, it already has proven to be.
It's what I say. I think you guys are great and change people's lives, and it makes a lot of difference.
You deliver at a very high level.
It was really enjoyable. You learn a lot. It was really easy going step by step.
You did questions before when they do. So that was, I think session 5, the interview session, if you ask me, was my favorite out of all the 6 sessions.
So it's not only helped me in my personal branding, but it's helped me now on the business side, where I feel very, very capable to go into,
Hey, super legends, superheroes, and superstars. My name's Dre. Welcome to another episode of Hot Hire Coaches on Fire. I am absolutely super stoked for today. But before we get into it, we're live on YouTube, live on Facebook, and live on LinkedIn. And as you know, there's about a 20-second delay. And if you're watching the replay, hashtag replay. So this will be able to help me out in the back end. So, man, I'm so excited. And I know that I say this every single time. So this next guest is one of my favorite people in the universe. 1, because she's a dear friend. 2, because she's a mentor. And 3, she is my accountability buddy. And every week that we catch up, it seems like it's a one-way relationship, because she is just giving me so much value after value after value. And it's like I always learn something new about her every week. And it's like, Georgie, you didn't tell me that. What else are you hiding from me? And every week we get to catch up. It's it's new, it's exciting, and man, she's got an incredible story. So without any further ado, I want to give a big warm welcome to Georgina Orchard. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Thank you for the introduction. It's amazing.
You're so welcome. I am just so excited and so happy that you are here to talk about what you do and also your journey, because I know you've got an incredible story, and I can see that book. So I'd love you to talk about that book a bit later on as well. So do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, Georgie?
Well, thank you. Every time we have a conversation, it's always awesome and fantastic. A little bit about myself. I live in Sydney, in Australia, New South Wales. I grew up in the bush and went away to uni and did accountancy, sort of commerce sort of degree. Went to boarding school in Sydney, sort of had spent a long time away from the farm and away from parents. And so then I came back down to Sydney, and basically apart from going overseas in my mid-20s, I have been in Sydney for most of my life, I think. I settled down. I've had a family. I've got 2 adult children, and they've grown up on Sydney's North Shore. So most of the time, I suppose for their life, I've been a working mum in terms of looking after them, but also running sporting clubs and sort of helping out at school. And then I decided at some point that I thought, well, I'd done a lot of community work, that I actually wanted to do something for the family, for myself, that didn't entail just for volunteer sort of work. But I think volunteer's been in our nature for a long time. My mum was a big volunteer and had an organisation that she started, and it's still going 50 years strong. So while she's not around, there's people now still running it out in the bush. And it celebrates 50 years this year. So we're going up in a couple of weeks to celebrate that. And yes, that kind of, I think, they say there's only 20% of the people in the world do volunteering. And I think sometimes it's just in your blood to do it. So the last few years have been kind of me working as a life coach, business coach, cancer coach. I guess I got into this world by I was looking for a parenting issue, the world of coaching, and I came across someone referred me to Tony Robbins and said, why don't you send one of the kids there? And I tried, and it just wasn't possible. So I sent myself, and I learnt some big lessons, huge lessons there, that you really can't push others into things. You have to change yourself. You can't change other people. You have to change yourself. So I have done a lot of personal development, professional development since. Probably spent over 100,000 doing professional development. And in the midst of all that, I got sick, and I had 2 types of cancer, primary breast cancer and primary lung cancer, and that was pretty devastating. But I guess I'd started coaching, and I'd been through the Tony Robbins process probably for a year before that. So I kind of knew there was no, even though it was pretty kind of it was a life-changing event. I realized that I couldn't dwell on it, and occasionally I'd say, the big C, occasionally, because it, my kind of goes, why did it happen to me? It's not meant to happen to me. I actually really knew that I had to, and I had a coach at the time, so I was able to sort of pick and I was coaching others at the time. So I knew I had to pick myself up and move on. And while I had to stop coaching for a while, I realized that I had to make it all about me for a while in order to heal. So then it gave me some power and not power, but it gave me some oomph to say, well, okay, I'm going to go out and I can help other people go through that as well and heal themselves. So there's been quite a lot of morph and change. And then I don't know if I was quite ready to coach at that point, because it's interesting when you first start coaching, when you realize that you really want to coach, but there's all this other side to it. There's this business side to it, right? And then there's within the business side, there's the marketing side, which is huge if you're not sure whether you really like yourself, or you're shy and you don't want to go on camera, and there's all these issues about getting yourself on camera. So there's a lot of work that I've done around there, and yes, a big healing journey, and not just healing the body, but healing a lot of the past and the mind, and kind of moving through that, getting to a stage where I kind of went, well, you know what, I've got all these amazing business skills, because I've been in business for now 30 years. I've been a not only in an accounting sense, but also a business analyst, helping with systems and advising businesses and things. So, and different size businesses as well, sort of helping, and kind of realized that I have all these amazing skills that I can actually help people with. And not only that, it's more from a holistic point. So really, if you want to succeed in business, you also have to have some balance in your personal life. because if one, something's got to give really. If you full on a business, something's going to give on the other end. So yeah, that's kind of a bit of life in a nutshell. I guess there was a little bit in the middle there that I kind of put out, but it was kind of, I guess when I went through a divorce, some of the kids kind of reacted to that. And at the same time, I'd had a big accident and had to learn. So I had some amazing people and inspire me as well, not only coaches, but, people in the health world. And I realized that there's a lot of support out there that you can get, only if you ask. You've got to ask.
Georgie, yeah, thank you for sharing your journey. And I like breast cancer, lung cancer, like going through that, having to, like manage like your coaching clients. You're getting coached as well. I can imagine all of these emotions, like happening. And then you were saying that, like, why me? And I believe that the universe is working like for us. And you mentioned that you started your like Tony Robbins or personal development journey just before, yeah, like all of that. So that's so that helped. I'm assuming that.
Yeah, I remember having a coach, and he said to me, "You can do this sort of." Because I had a healer at the time as well, and unbeknownst to us, I'd probably had cancer for a little while because it doesn't just appear in your body. But he was saying, I remember having to come up with my own thing that I'm comfortable with, because someone can suggest something, but then you have to be comfortable in order to believe that something's going to happen. And I'm a bigger believer in, if you believe something deeply enough, it will happen. So I remember one of them, he said to me, "Oh, well, let's imagine that the cancer's dissolving in your system." And I was kind of like, no, that means it's still in my body. So one of the things I had to do is basically there's a meditation that you can do where the light comes through. And if you're in the personal development world and you're a coach, you probably identify with, and you've been to see Tony Robbins, you'll probably identify with this, the light coming through you with Master Cody Talks, the light, the energy comes through you and then passes into the ground. So you ground yourself. So my visualization was I would pass the light and the energy just to clean up my body and let it all pass through. And then Mother Nature in the ground takes care of the virus and the cells and the bad cells that you don't need anymore, or this damaged cells. And, you thank them for passing through and thank them for the, what they've done for you now, but, no longer need them. And you practice a lot of gratitude, letting them go. And then there's this beautiful energy that you can, golden light, yes, that comes from like a pure light that comes from the center of the earth, and then you bring it up and nourishes your body. And I would do that every day. The other thing I would do would be visualizing I actually had a healthy body, like a healthy breast tissue and healthy set of lungs on my fridge that I could look at every day, just to visualize that. And because your body is designed to heal. So if you can, if you're given the right resources, and that's the same with business, it's almost like it's a holistic approach in terms of given the right resources, everyone can succeed. So that's that was one big takeaway for me. It was getting the right resources.
Love that. Thank you for sharing. So you're a business strategy coach. I can hardly say that word, strategy coach. What have been, I guess, some of the patterns that you see with your clients? Do they like come to you with the same sort of like problems or
similar? A lot of them, I guess the pattern is they lose sight of the vision. So it's seeing that vision every day and staying and having a path in order to follow and to stay on the vision, because a lot of business owners are also entrepreneurs. So entrepreneurs, there's occasionally that shiny, that the creator, they're looking for new opportunities. So you can get the shiny object syndrome. So occasionally, it's best to sort of, it's got to, if you're going to have the shiny object syndrome, you want to make sure whatever you're trying to reach out to is going to be a viable option. There's quite a large percentage of businesses every year that go broke. And you would probably have, in over 5 years, probably only 20% of the businesses that started in year one would probably still be in operation. Over COVID, that's been a lot harder. Some businesses have done very well, and other businesses have folded and gone out the door. And some of them probably been in business for a very long time before they folded. There's this thing that they didn't see coming, this thing that was completely out of the box, off the radar, that came in, and they weren't able to pivot, or they didn't pivot. They couldn't see a way through it. So that's some of the patterns that I've seen. The other thing is kind of not managing resources correctly.
Yeah.
There's a useful life of a resource, for example. So even in people and machine and electronics, there's a useful life of something that you use, and also managing resources effectively and efficiently is probably one big area. Not planning is another. Not planning.
Okay, yeah. I've definitely been guilty of that. So.
Yeah, well, if you're a variety-driven person, sometimes planning is a little bit boring. So we like to be off the cuff. But a routine and a plan generally means that you're more likely to succeed.
Yeah. Awesome. So can you tell us about your book that you've written?
All right. This is my book.
Yeah.
It's called Make the Shift.
Make the Shift.
It's for business operators. We're all good technically when we go into a business, and just become the CEO of your business. So becoming wiser. And it's seeing there's 10 blind spots. So there's a chapter for each blind spot in here to unleash your business growth. And, you might be pushing through a ceiling that you've never pushed through, or no one around you or in your family have pushed through before. And it might be kind of off your radar, but it could be in your radar. So the world's your oyster. Your world's your oyster. So, you can push through it. It's just having the right strategy to push through it. And whether it's kind of losing the want to control everything, hiring the right people.
Okay, yeah.
Managing the resources. So managing the people that you've got. You might have conflict in your team and it might be holding you back, but you don't realize it. You might have conflict in the team that you do realize, but you're not sure how to manage that. And one of my qualifications is DISC profiling, and I have certification in Australia to do DISC profiling. So it helps you understand the personalities that you have in your team and what drives them, and the communication, the conversations that you need to have to get the most out of them. The other thing would be trust. Trust. So whether learning to trust the people in your team and giving them some autonomy, but still having some control there in terms of financial control. One of the things that in here that I mentioned is to KPMG is that there were 60% of small businesses that had been affected by fraud. And I'll tell you a story that I've got in the book, and it's an old friend of the family, and he's now passed on, but he had a business on the North Shore here, and he was really good technically at smelling wines and being wine craftsman and picking out wines for different customers. So he entrusted all the financial control to his partner. and he trusted him. Now, it's great to trust someone, but what happened, and it happens in a lot of cases, is that his partner left and took off with all the money. Now, what had happened was this family friend had invested his family's life savings and his wife's family's life savings into that business, and they lost everything. So that's just one story. But there's another story, like I don't know if you remember, a couple of years ago, there's a salmon plant in Sydney, and the staff there were grading the salmon as waste instead of selling it. So they were grading it as waste, but then on selling it outside, and they've all been convicted of fraud now, some the staff that were involved. But that went on for a few years before they found out that was occurring. So there's different levels of fraud. I mean, there's things like skimming, where people, depending if you don't have the right roles in a business, especially in a finance team, the person that's doing the payables and receivables, for example, because they can be skimming money off the top and putting it into another account, or someone who does the receipts doesn't do the salaries. So it's kind of maintaining different roles within a company. Obviously, sometimes they're small, and that's unavoidable, but you still need your checks and balances. Yes, we talk about employees. We talk about trusting yourself, the mindset of the CEO, the mindset of the technician. We talk about, I've got some little notes here. We talk about being consumed about putting out fires rather than, and dealing with different issues rather than managing beforehand, so having different things in place. So you want to be able to step back in the business. So imagine you're a business owner and you're inside this barrel that is your business, and really you can't see over the top, you can't see through it. So imagine it's one of those big plastic barrels, that blue one, you really can't see outside of it. Customers are all outside, so they can sort of see what's going on. Your suppliers might be able to see what's going on, they may not be able to, but you can't because you're in it. So being the CEO is being able to pull yourself out of the business and look at it from a sort of a global kind of point of view. How are you looking after your staff? How are you looking after your suppliers and your key stakeholders? How are you looking after your customers? How can you nurture your customers? Where can you add value?
I love that. Georgie, yeah, thank you very much for that. So I'm excited to read it, and I want a signed copy.
Copy?
I do, yeah. So
I can do a segue into that. There's a link just down here underneath your name. So if you would love a signed copy of the book, please, that's my website. I don't think the homepage is ready yet, but that book page is, and it's got a landing page there for you to order your signed copy.
Oh, brilliant. All right. So if anyone is listening on Spotify, Apple, or one of the other audio podcast platforms, the website to go to is georginaorchard.com/book. So I'll repeat that again. That's georginaorchard.com/book. Georgina, what's the best way to get hold of you?
I have a LinkedIn profile, which is probably the best way to get hold of me and send me a message. Or I'm also is when you book in for your book, on the back of the book there is there will be a link, I think, from the book as well, that you can, and I can send you a message as well, to book in for a strategy session. So, and that's complimentary when you order the book. So, and it's got my phone number on there. So the best way is to then first order the book, and then you find my details on the back of the book or in the next landing page.
Georgia, I feel like this is Christmas. There just seems to be gift after gift after gift. Alrighty, Georgie, very last question. So, you know that I'm obsessed with dad jokes. So do you have a dad joke, a quote, something inspirational, something motivational, something empowering, something of value that you would like to leave us with?
I'm terrible at jokes, so I'll have to leave you with a, and I can never remember them unless they're really crude, but I'm not going to do one of those. So there is design your life, design your business, and dream without the limits.
Georgie, thank you very much. I just want to say a massive, huge thank you to you. Absolutely love you to bits. Personally, like from me, like thank you for. I'm so lucky because I get to spend every week like with you, talking to you, learning about business, about life, and yeah, I'm just eternally grateful to you for coming on and also sharing. Plus, I'm really excited to read your book as well. So I'm sending you so much love. So thank you.
Lots of love. Thank you. Mwah.